to Seven Kinds of Mischief!
Never. I can say that every time. I can listen to that on loop.
Greetings, one and all, and welcome to Seven Kinds of Mischief. I'm your host, Stone Loki, and with me today, of course, is the Mad Doctor of Valhalla Adega Outlaw. How are you doing tonight, brother?
I'm feeling pretty special. How are you doing, Dawn? Do I have permission to enter the show this evening?
Oh my God,
May
dude.
I kiss the ring?
No, there will be no kissing of rings. Oh. If there is a ring, it's a Red Lantern ring. I'm gonna, there, hold on, there, the Red Lantern dragon. Good God. Oh, this Dawn stuff is exhausting, I swear.
And it's funnier than heck. Hello, everybody.
Good evening, everybody. How are you all doing? The first one in the door is the lovely Leia Rose. How are you doing? Hope you are doing well tonight. Chris Persia, the Wrench of Wrenches, was next. He says, good evening, Valhalla. How are you doing, Chris Persia? Mark, the infinitely tired, the angriest wrench on YouTube, is next. Claude Saline is here. Good evening, Claude Saline. Nick Braun says, what up? How are you doing, Nick? Deborah Cohen says, hello, Loki and everybody. Good evening, Deborah. Hopefully you are doing well. Project Cambrian is next in the door. What is up? How are you doing? Good evening, everybody. I hope you guys are ready for some fun stuff tonight because we're going to party. No, I'm just kidding. Kizzy, what is up, Kizzy? Good evening, Kizzy. Hopefully I said good evening and not good morning. Because that's what I'm used to.
You did all right.
Oh.
You hear that? There's a lot of exhaustion behind that. Oh,
keeping up with everything.
Of the dawn.
You stop! You stop that, Adega. Holy shit. Oh, people calling me up. Is it okay if I do this? Is it okay if I do that? I'm like, just do it. Why are you calling me, asking me for? I don't know nothing. I'm about to start telling people I am not a YouTuber.
Yeah. They don't believe Mike. They won't believe you.
That's right. God. Mike doesn't even have a morning show.
No, but he's on everybody else's show all day long, and he says he works during the day. I don't get it.
He does. He'll be sitting there on the show talking. That's why he goes camera off when he's working. If you ever see Mike on someone's show and he is camera off, that is because he is working behind the scenes and doing taxes while he's doing the show. I kid you not. That is why he goes camera off.
There was that one Monday when Zero and Mike was in for a second, and I saw him start to multitask on his screens, looking here and there. And I said, see you, Mike. Go away. You're busy. He's like, he didn't even think twice. Like, boom, gone.
Yep.
Busy man.
Is it okay to drink the water, Loki? Depends on where you're at. If you're in Mexico, no. If you're in Brazil, no. If you're in any South American country, no.
Just take your own water so you don't have a... what is that? Oh, jeez. No, Bill Cosby moment.
Oh yeah. Don't get one of those. Careful when they're like free drinks, senor. Yeah, no. Sipping the Perrier, thinking about Kate, going, but Michael. Oh, crap. I don't know. Have you ever seen the Godfather movies?
No.
Oh,
I'm one of the few people who have not.
Because it's rated R.
Yes.
Those
of you may think, what's wrong with this guy? Well, I'll tell you. When I was young, very young, I made a promise to someone who was very important to me, who thought it would be wise that I avoid it. And I made the promise, but the promise was never, not until I get 18 or what have you. And just to honor that promise, I've kept with it.
Thank you for subscribing. Sees the wrong and gay Takadashi. I have no idea. I'm sorry I screwed up your name. Probably going to unsubscribe now because I got the name wrong. Holy crap.
That's Thai, I believe, and I don't know how to pronounce that either.
So,
but anyway.
Thank you, though, for subscribing.
Yeah, more than welcome, especially if you understand how weird we are at times.
Oh, we're pretty weird.
Yeah. And I make really dumb jokes. That's why I try and avoid them.
No, you do not.
You have no idea.
Check out that wonderful thumbnail from Chris Berger. As soon as I saw it, all I could think of was cake. But Michael, you can ask me this one time and I will discuss my business with you. Did you do it, Michael? No, I didn't. Get the hell out of my office. But he did do it. He did do it. Monkey Jeebus.
Doing well.
What is up, Monkey Jeebus? He says, so getting my name wrong is grounds for unsubbing? I would hope not. I would hope not. And Project, if it's Project Cam Bryan, I have been saying it wrong all these years. I heard Saggy say that the other night on Snows, and I was like, holy crap, have I been saying the name wrong? I've always said Project Cambrian. If it's Cam Bryan, my bad.
And see, I follow what you say anytime that you say something. But then again, I shouldn't, because I remember what you used to call me the first 6 months.
What did I call you?
Adega.
Adega.
You remember that?
Adega. God, yes. It's Adega. Adega. Cecil. Potato. Potato. Oh, Lordy. Lord have mercy.
That's okay. I just consider the source. You prefer burnt meat, so it's like, you give him his faults. All right.
Cambrian. Okay, that's what I thought it was. See, that's what I thought it was. You had it right the first time, Loki. See, that's what I thought it was. That's what I've been saying all these years. Project Cambrian. Okay.
I should directly or deliberately mispronounce it from now on. I'll call it Cambrian.
Pat. I'm supposed to be calling him Pat all these years. And I've been saying Pat S. Oh, Lordy. Yes, fireballs and burning of buildings. And oh, Lordy, at least we're not taking over halls in college campuses, right? Right.
You know, there was a simple solution for all that. You cut off the power, you cut off the internet, you cut off the water. Don't let them have any food. Block every entrance except for one. They won't stay there very long. And when they come out, you arrest them.
Yep.
You don't have to cut anything, don't have to break anything. All the bills of all the damages go on their heads, and they all get expelled.
Someone was like, the hypocrisy of what you said compared to what happened with the Canadians during the trucker rallies. The truckers weren't stupid. They brought gas, they brought food, they brought drink, They brought a band, they brought everything they needed.
Yep.
Those kids barricaded themselves in a hall with nothing. And then we're like, we demand this. Kiss my ass.
3 days later, it's a human right to have food. No, everyone's worked for food since day one.
Deborah, it's okay. I pronounced stuff wrong too. It just makes life more interesting. That's right. Potato. Damn straight. Oh, man. Oh, crap. So what do you have for us today?
I have something that I'm going to continue the mispronunciation of things. I get updates periodically, and this is something I didn't know. So there's going to be half of you people, or probably more, that know about this, and I didn't, especially the place with the cold stones and haggis. You guys will know this story, but I didn't. So I'm going to read it, and then I'm going to get into something a little different afterwards. But like I said, I got an update. I get these periodic things. Now, this was written a while ago, so the dates are going to be off. It's not current day. It says on this day, April 24th, 1990. So obviously, this is 34 years ago. And here it says 73 years ago today on April 24th, 1990, after 48 years of quarantine. This is where in one of the pictures that I showed you, you can see it. And those of you who could read Scottish stuff, it's Gwenard, I think Gwenard Island in Scotland has been officially declared anthrax free. Now, why did it have anthrax? Which was puzzling to me. Why anyone would have a whole island that way. Grenard is also heavily regarded as one of the most fascinating regions in all of Scotland, which is surprising because Scotland isn't really that. I'm going to pick on the Scottish people. You could come at me. I'm Irish, so I don't care. Of all of the Scotland, as its history is filled with strange happenings and unfortunate events. Here are some of those unsettling tales. They're not really that unsettling, but the anthrax thing is. Gwenard Island emerged as a feature noted by Dean Monroe during his journey in the mid-16th century. He penned descriptions of it as part of Clan Mackenzie's domain, once clothed in dense woods, though now barren of trees, and infamous as a haven for outlaws and rebels. Historically, the tug-of-war between Rossshire and the Cromartyshire for ownership of Gwenard Island, oh gosh, I hate this, it's all Scottish, mirrors its strategic locations between Gairloch and Ullapool. By the late 1780s, these coastal settlements, into thriving fishing and sheep farming hubs, leading to sporadic use of Gwenard Island for grazing sheep or as a modest fishing port. However, by 1881, its population dwindled to just 6 souls, ultimately fading into desolation with no trace of habitation. The shadow of war cast its dark cloak on Gwenard Island during World War II, when it became the clandestine stage for a chilling chapter in military history. See, this is the part I didn't know. In 1942, as part of Operation Vegetarian, scientists from Porton Down's biology department conducted a harrowing biological warfare test on the island. The operation involved the dispersal of anthrax-laden linseed cakes, a sinister scheme to contaminate German lands. Under the discretion of Sir Oliver Graham Sutton and David Willis Wilson Henderson, the island witnessed the distribution of anthrax bombs amidst a flock of 80 sheep, unleashing a deadly plague. The chilling experiment captured on declassified film, which I will not show and I don't want to watch, but if you wanted to, you're sick, revealed the horrifying consequences of germ warfare. Despite the conclusion that such an assault would render cities uninhabitable for generations, the island remained a haunting threat of anthrax. Efforts to decontaminate the island proved futile, prolonged its isolation from the world. In 1981, a chilling illuminatum under the banner of Operation Dark Harvest shook the corridors of power. Demands for decontamination echoed as the clandestine team purportedly collected soil samples from Gwenard Island, accompanied by ominous threats to unveil the island's deadly secret. The saga of Gwenard Island took a decisive turn in 1986 when an ambitious decontamination campaign was commenced, spraying 250 tons of formaldehyde solution diluted in seawater over its entire expanse, and removing the most contaminated topsoil, marked the beginning of a monumental effort to reclaim the island from its toxic legacy Now you can think of what that would do. An island being bombarded with formaldehyde and also having anthrax on it. Despite environmental repercussions, which basically meant anything that was alive in the water around the island, and the slow recovery of the intertidal life, the island gradually shed its shroud of contamination. By 1990, after 48 years of quarantine, Grenado Island was declared safe, heralding an end to the isolation. However, the island's respite was short-lived. In 2022, a devastating wildfire swept across its desolate landscape, leaving destruction in its wake. While the cause remains uncertain, I bet it's uncertain, speculation veers towards the Scottish practice of moor and burn. I don't know, it's another Scottish thing. So that I didn't know about. Had no clue that there was another place that was used for chemical experimentation. Fortunately, it was only on sheep and wasn't like most fascists and communists where they do it on people. We've talked about those incidents before. But now they have a burnt out island, not worth much of anything. Maybe someday. Now there's a second part to this, and it's not related to that at all, but it is related to something else, and it's because of the research that I have done in the past with my healthcare experiences and things that I've had to write.
Before we start that, you've got a super chat from Squeaker Mouse.
Squeaker!
For $20. She says, "Hail, just got the Blood Witch. Finally, so excited to read it. Thank you so much, Adega. Squeaker, you are going to love it." I don't know what version you got. I've got the softback. It's the only softback that I've got of Adega's. Everything else is hardback. But you are going to love the Blood Witch.
Thank you very much, Squeaker.
Thank you.
If you ever have questions about it, find me someplace and ask. It's still kind of a work in progress, but yeah, the new version is pretty dang. The softbound had a lot of errors in it, and it didn't even have page numbers, and you can thank Amazon for that.
I told you, though, I'm going to have all your first editions. I don't care if it's got mistakes in it. I don't care what's wrong with it. I'm going to have every first edition Adega's ever done. So,
well, thank you. I appreciate it. And if you have the hardback, you want to see the things that I've either done or working on, go to the last page. You'll see it. It lists everything that's there. The next one up is the Reach, but we could talk about that when we close.
Thank you very much, Squeaker, for that $20 super chat.
Give her something wonderful for a skull. Thank you. I owe you. That goes to my kids. You know that? I don't spend that for myself. None of it.
Do you like Alf, Squeaker? Oh, Squeaker, I know you like Snowdub, right? You like Snowdub. How about that?
Get mischievous.
You want to see Snowdub's first role ever on camera? This is it. Skull!
Have a great trip. Here I
go. All right.
Thank you, Squeaker. Seriously.
Thank you, Squeaker.
All right. Now, the second part, this has to do with, like I said, it was some of the things that I've researched, the origins of various different contaminants or biological agents. And this one you guys know, but some of it you may not know, like the origins of AIDS and various different things. You're told one thing, and I guarantee you, if you looked into it, you'd find out very quickly that that's not necessarily the case. This here, I don't have a picture of it for you, Loki, but just imagine a jungle cave, and you'll be pretty clear. It's truly unremarkable looking. It appears it shows a picture of this. I didn't give it to Loki, sorry, and I should have, but it appears nothing. It just looks like an average cave, but no, you'd be wrong. This is the Kitume Cave found in Kenya. It's believed to be the source of both Ebola and Marburg, two of the deadliest diseases in recent human history. Remember, recent human history. And also the dates. In the 1980s, 2 visitors to the cave contracted Marburg virus disease, leading to fatalities. Despite extensive efforts, the exact animal vector carrying the virus remained unidentified until similar expeditions in 2007 to mines in Gabon and Uganda found evidence of Marburg virus in Egyptian fruit bats. Where did we hear about the bats before? Dwelling in caves, suggesting these bats and their guano are the likely vectors. And I got a finger for you scientists. The World Health Organization has labeled Marburg as an epidemic prone. Of course they have. Heightenedly its potential for widespread transmission. The disease severely impacts the body's functions and damages the cardiovascular system, with a mortality rate reaching up to 88%, very closely related to those of Ebola virus. I'm going to leave it at that, but I just want you to seriously think, are we being played once again? You guys already know my opinion. I don't want to get into it, but you guys can, if you have access to it, there are sources where you can find the labs, the names of the doctors, the people that were working in the areas, the creatures that they were working on, and all the timing of when Ebola, when AIDS, when this Marburg, and the various different diseases came out. I don't believe that this was perchance. But I'll just leave that for you. They say it was chance. I don't. So that's what I have for you. A little bit of information of what humanity can do when they're thinking about causing mass destruction on the people.
Nope. Thank you very much, Adega.
Yeah, you're welcome. Let me scare you to death. Yeah, you're welcome.
Speaking of scaring, we're going old school tonight. So when we started this channel, it was all about, spooky stories and crazy stuff and conspiracies and did this happen and did that happen. Well, tonight we're going to go over some ghost stuff. We're going to go over some apparitions. And we're going to start out with the New York subway specters that are labeled as a variable class, most often 1 or 3, anchored to New York City subway tunnels, trains, and stations. The New York subway system boasts an impressive number of ghosts. The apparitions of accident victims, the murdered, and of course, self-deletion populate the tunnels, stations, and trains of the metropolitan subway lines. Usually these spirits anchor themselves to one spot and remain invisible. This spot won't necessarily be the location where they died, but it will be one in which they feel relatively comfortable. Of course, this is New York, so at peace is a relative term. With a constant wave of commuters, the ghost calm is continuously under assault. The least aggressive of these spirits will try to ward off the living by creating minor electrical disturbances, flickering lights, rapid battery loss in any personal electronic devices, or by emanating a persistent creepy vibe until the unwanted commuter moves on. When a ghost presence finally reaches breaking point, it may become visible and throw what can be best described as, if you excuse a momentary descent into the vernacular, the mother of all hissy fits. Because many of these exasperated apparitions were created by grisly train impact-related incidents, their frequent manifestations have led to a sharp increase in pedestrian traffic on the streets of New York, especially amongst tourists. All right. So the next one is called Poppy Sargosi. It's a class 4 non-corporeal manifestation at various New York locations of the Sargassi seafood restaurant chain. Enzo Poppy Sargassi, founder of the successful seafood restaurant Sargassi's, was lost at sea on a fishing trip in 1954. Sargassi's ghost began to manifest itself at different branches of Sargassi's restaurant in the late 1970s, including the Brooklyn, Staten Island, and Times Square outlets, before finding a permanent home in the dining room of the branch located in a hotel lobby. In and of itself, the Sargassi ghost wasn't particularly bothersome, but it didn't manifest alone. It was accompanied by a class 4 spectral shark that would chase Sargassi around the restaurant until it captured and devoured him. Not a particularly appetizing sight for restaurant patrons. Sargassi's ghost at one point faded away on its own and to date has not manifested itself again. The next one is called The Driver.
I'm sorry, I had a crazy thought of the ghost sharknado. Sorry, I just thought that was
The
hilarious.
Ghost Sharknado. No, not Poppy Mexican Iron Man. No. Although that would be funny if he manifested himself inside of a MILF's bedroom and jumped out the window.
That's a documentary.
Yes, absolutely. The Driver, class 3 corporeal only when it manifests in the confines of a taxi cab. The Driver is an entity that randomly manifests itself in taxi cabs, taking control of the vehicle and embarking on a wild and predominantly dangerous joyride. While this ghost consistently manifests in the same general location, Madison Avenue, and always in a taxi cab, it is proven difficult to identify the origins of this ghost. Only theories suggest that the entity was originally a driver for the precursor of New York's modern taxi service, a fleet of electric hansoms that began taking passengers in 1897. Another theory posits that the driver could be the result of a fatal incident where a taxi cab drove into the Harlem River in the 1950s. Of course, this is all speculation that assumes the ghost's predilection for taking control of a cab is proof of its occupation prior to death. We should also consider that the person from whom the spirit is derived might have died as a taxi cab passenger, or simply had a strong desire to drive a cab that carried through to the afterlife. Whatever the true nature of this ghost, its random manifestations have made it extremely difficult to predict its movements. Given how hard it can be to catch a cab in New York, catching a specific one is borderline impossible. Those who have encountered this entity describe it as a stereotypical ghoulish zombie with a rotting face, ragged clothes, and a stench worse than a garbage scow on a sunny day. Ooh, boy, that stinks. Nasty, nasty, nasty. All right, let's look. What do we got here? The Spider.
You gotta get me that book. I need to get that. Where'd you get that?
We were at a bookstore. I can't remember which one we were at. We were either at Books A Million or we were at Barnes and Noble. I can't remember.
Okay.
But it's a good book.
Yeah, it is. Oh, do you want to hear a true story before I forget?
Yes, please.
Okay, Mark made me think of this. Okay, now you know that it was almost 3.5 years ago that I moved here from Michigan, and you saw our house. Let's just say it's a nice house, and we needed
and
to
welcome really quick to all the mead raiders coming.
Oh, hey, mead people.
Immortal
It's
Cockroach.
Tom's fault.
Deba,
Thank you,
it's
Tom.
Tom's fault. Hashtag blame Tom. We love you, Tom. Sander Hammerslag. Ben Dowdy. There he is, the man himself. Thank you, brother.
Well, we lived in Michigan for a number of years, got ourselves a nice house, lived in a nice neighborhood and everything. But I have a handicapped son, and we were planning to move here to Wisconsin where we can get him some assisted living. He's 25 now. He didn't want to be with mom and dad forever, but he is severely handicapped, so he needs full-time care. We needed to sell our house to get here. And the strange thing, the electrician who had originally worked, we were doing some wiring, ran out of the house because the wiring wouldn't work, or it would work, but it wasn't supposed to work the way it was, and it was doing impossible things. He finally got it fixed, but he said, your place is haunted. We had aides that would come in and work with my son, and we lost a bunch of them because they said the place is haunted. It did all kinds of things, the typical lights, things move. This is all true stuff. One time it rained in between panes of a window. It came through the walls. But the interesting thing, when we were trying to sell the house the last time, we painted it, did all kinds of fun stuff to it, just for normal living, but it was really nice. The ceiling bled.
Really?
In a place by the front window where there was no water lines, because I figured, it could have been rust or something. There's no awnings, no soffits, nothing to where water could have got to this area. I didn't think anything of it other than the ghost is doing something again. And when Mark put that down, it finally reminded me, because the neighbors told us about this. We didn't know what had happened at the house when we bought it, but it was an older couple that had the house custom built early on, and it was a big family home. And one time the father, he was in his late 70s, it must have been 80s, and his wife was at home, and she used to sit in that front window and watch people walk by. Right above where her chair was, she died in that chair. Right above it was where it was bleeding. But the thing is people would wave at her for about 3 days, not knowing that she had died in that spot. They saw her in the window, sitting at a rocker chair, but she was gone. And funny enough, that's the exact same spot. And I'm beginning, either it was haunted or somehow some methane or something got up there and it stained the drywall, even though we had the drywall replaced. Just weird. Until we had one odd couple. They were younger. They loved my steampunk room, my library. They bought the house and nothing went bad for them. Everything was brilliant. So whoever was there haunting the place really liked them. But yeah, bleeding on the walls, there it was. And that's true. It happened. And I didn't put two and two together until just now. I'm going to have to share it with my wife when we're done here.
Heck yeah. Heck yeah.
All right, let's hear more of the Ghostbusters ghost stories.
All right. Dream Ghost. Class 4, non-corporeal, anchored to Fort Demeter. Manifest only when sleeping individual is present. Dream ghosts are benign entities that can only fully manifest on this plane of existence while in the presence of a sleeping individual. They should not be confused with those entities that enter the subconscious mind of a sleeping individual, usually to do harm. For more on nocturnal entities, see the entry on The Sandman on page 41. New York's own Fort Detmering is host to such an entity, rumored to be the sweetheart of an officer who was posted at the fort back when it was fully functioning military stronghold. The rooms the spirit frequents, the officers' quarters in particular, are identifiable by a palpable feeling of exhaustion. Crossing the threshold into one of these rooms can leave you feeling as though you haven't slept for days. Leaving the room immediately reverses the effect. After extensive research into the matter, we were able to conclude that determining the entity was no longer a danger to the public, Dr. Stans nevertheless continues to monitor the site regularly. All right, let's read about the Spider Witch. The Spider Witch Hotel. in which we trapped Slimer, was also host to a far more malevolent presence of the Sedgwick Hotel, known as the Spider Witch. From diaries recovered at the scene of the haunting, we were able to piece together the following. A hotel resident in the 1920s, Evelyn Lewis, was a member of Ebo Chandler's Gozerian cult. See Section 5 for more information, which often hosted meetings in her suite. Unlike the other members of the cult, she had ambitions beyond bringing about the end of the physical world. She wanted to be powerful in the afterlife and was a regular practitioner of human sacrifice in order to achieve that end. Her body, the result of an apparent self-deletion, was found in her suite amid a pile of destroyed furniture that had been arranged in a neat-like structure. Around the nest was neatly stacked piles of human remains, blood staining the carpets and also the walls where it was used to write the woman's last words, "I am not done." Hotel staff sealed off the room, but years later, remodeling work on the Sedgwick uncovered the suite and woke the spirit of Evelyn Lewis, which manifested as a large corporeal human spider hybrid. It was the spitting image of a Japanese Jorugumo. You just don't see those kind of ghosts in the States. The spider witch's atomic cohesion made it as solid as flesh and blood. The ghost wasn't able to leave the suite and was in the process of ripping a hole in the wall when we arrived to deal with the matter. It took 4 of us at least an hour and 3 proton grenades to bring her down. The spirit of her 5 most recent victims appeared and thanked us before fading away, presumably to join the other ghostly residents of the hotel.
I gotta get that book.
The Librarian.
Here we go.
AKA
First
the
one
Gray
we see.
Lady. The Gray Lady. Class 4 anchored to the New York Public Library. In 1924, Eleanor Twitty, the head librarian of the New York Public Library, vanished. She was last seen at the library itself, and policemen who searched the entire building found no trace of her. A search of her apartment turned up the same results. She was gone. But in 1925, patrons and other librarians started to notice signs of her presence. Her favorite books began to appear regularly on the front desk in the morning, and people who spoke above a whisper would be shushed from the shadows. Patrons using the reference section also reported feeling that they were being watched by Twitty. The ghost appeared frequently in this manner until 1929, then went dormant. The librarian, also known as the Gray Lady, manifested again many years later, appeared openly in the lower levels of the library, actively harassing both patrons and staff, and leaving a plentiful amount of ectoplasmic discharge in her wake. Discharge. Ew.
You already did a skull on that.
The Gray Lady was the first spirit that the founding members of the Ghostbusters faced together. As this was our first direct supernatural encounter, we were admittedly unprepared as how we should have dealt with it. We ultimately decided to rush the ghost, which seemed like a good idea at the time. Our hypothesis was that when approached with no sign of fear, the ghost would disperse. Instead, it metamorphosized into a more terrifying form and let out a blood-curdling scream. Lacking any offensive capabilities, we opted for a strategic retreat. They ran like screaming girls. Lacking any offensive capabilities, we opted for, It wasn't a total wash, however. The data we collected was invaluable in the design and calibration of our proprietary ghost trapping equipment. We returned to the library more than once in the following months to seek out and trap the Great Lady, but she remained out of reach. Eventually, we were led to secret catacombs beneath the library, where Eleanor Twitty's corpse was discovered. The librarian attacked us again there in her aggressive bestial form, but this time she was no match for us, or rather, are proton streams. Let's see, how much time do we have? We got enough time for.
Bring it on.
We'll do two more. These two are one of my favorites besides the last one we'll do.
All right.
And we'll do more of these next week. So, Class 4 non-corporeal elemental spirits anchored to the Foley Square Courthouse. The Scaleri brothers.
Oh, yeah.
Several types of ghosts may be witnessed at courthouses, but most common are the victims of murderers facing trial. These spirits tend not to be troublesome. They're ready to pass on, but are determined to first witness justice done in their name. Also prevalent are the ghosts of judges and attorneys who cannot help but be drawn to the more salacious and newsworthy cases. They are particularly potent spirits. They may try to influence the proceedings, from whispering legal advice into a lawyer's ear to terrorizing a defendant they know is guilty. The final type are the ghosts of the guilty. Some of these grow penitent and pass on. The rest seethe with indignation and do their best to disrupt the legal proceedings. Charged with murdering Nunzio and Tony Scaleri, were sentenced to death by electric chair on the order of Judge Stephen Wexler, then new to the bench. Many years later, the Ghostbusters found themselves in the courtroom of the then Judge Wexler on a public nuisance charge, the use of public utility access to investigate a river of psychomagnetheric ectoplasm. When Wexler became extremely agitated with us in the presence of the slime we'd collected, his negativity reacted with the properties of the ectoplasm, allowing the Scaleries to manifest and wreak havoc. The Scaleries appeared to be attached to the electric chairs they were executed in, and were able to take full and elemental control of the electricity, which they used to attempt to revenge themselves on the judge. The charges against us were dropped, and we were allowed to use our equipment to swiftly capture the Scaleries. The most notable aspect of the incident was the powerful manner in which the slime reacted to Wexler. Despite our request to collect further data, his honor declined of a full physical workup. All right, let's get into the bad boy. The bad boy. You guys know where I'm going, right? You guys know where I'm going.
Oh, yeah.
This guy is where I'm going. The fat boy. Yeah, biggin. All right. Okay.
Slimer.
The Green Ghost, a.k.a. Slimer. Class 5 full roaming vapor, formerly anchored to the 12th floor of the Sedgwick Hotel. This spirit, which had been haunting the 12th floor of the Sedgwick Hotel on Park Avenue since the mid-1920s, became the subject of the first full field test of the Ghostbusters' proprietary equipment. During the encounter, a messy collision with our colleague, Dr. Venkman, led us to nickname the ghost Slimer. Our best guess at the ghost's origins date back to the apocalyptic cult of Gozer, which held meetings at the Sedgwick in the early 1920s, finally wearing out its welcome when an animal sacrifice went awry. According to our research, it's most likely that the cult's ritual conjured a hungry spirit, a ghost that can never sate its inhuman appetite, as a destructive punishment for the world. During our encounter with Slimer, we noticed the lingering after effects of its presence, the persistent stench of rancid meat, and an increase in the heaviness of the air similar to stifling humidity. There were also piles of chewed food and overturned furniture and an unusual amount of exuded ectoplasm. The ghost is most likely nocturnal, had a rudimentary intelligence, and exhibits low level of telekinetic ability. That said, it isn't a stereotypical poltergeist. For more on poltergeist, see the entry on page 31. Its behavior tends more towards gluttony, not rage, and it is a glutton. since whatever it consumes immediately passes through its body and onto the floor. It is never sated. Although we initially trapped Slimer at the Hedrick Hotel, it was released from captivity when our original containment unit was shut down by Walter, he's a dick, Peck, then on the Environmental Protection Agency. Once we recaptured the ghost, we placed it in a smaller containment unit, an ionized glass cage that allowed us to study its properties and behavior directly. And that is where we will... Did they do a novelization of the Ghostbusters as case reports? I'll show you real quick. So this is Tobin's Spirit Guide. This is the Ghostbusters Tobin's Spirit Guide. This has all the stuff. So you've got, let me see if I can find something about, because I know it's in here. Poltergeist, the Collectors. There. Recognize them? Here, doggy doggy. Here, doggy doggy. That is
all right.
Ben's Clorthoth and Zool. And of course, we've got the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man and Gozer and all that fun stuff. So I love this book. I absolutely love it, and we'll read more from it. If we're back next week, I don't know if we're back next week, but when we come back, I will read more.
Guaranteed.
Guaranteed. So.
Well, that's fun. I like that book. Like I said, I'm going to get one.
Get one. I'm sure you can get it on Amazon or Barnes and Noble or Books A Million or whatever.
I know I have books on Amazon, but the ones at Barnes and Noble are superior. If you guys are buying my stuff, go to if you want to spend for the hardcovers, that's where you want to go. Softbound is Amazon, but I won't go to Amazon for books. I'll go to Barnes and Noble. Quality is just better.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
They ship them better.
So guys, we're getting out of here. Daga, do you have anything coming up going on that you want to share before we get out of here?
A little bit different for those of you. I don't have a big group, and those of you who know who I do a YouTube channel. It's for me to do editing. I listen to myself. I put a little video on it just for the heck of it, and you guys can hear what my current projects are in editing process. But I am doing the last of the Blood Witch series. This is set 2,000 years after the book that Squeaka said she just bought. And it is, instead of being medieval, they've gone industrial. So you guys know how much I like steampunk. So it has a heavy steampunk feel to it. So it's going to be more like an urban fantasy. And I am having an absolute ton of fun with this. It's going to be a little different format. It's not just a straight story. The heading of some of the chapters, and this week we'll have one, is going to be an excerpt from mythical books within that universe, where it will help kind of explain the story and some of the universe of it. But no, I'm just having a blast. So if you want to join in, we usually get a group of 10, 15, sometimes 20 people there on any Sunday. But yeah, you're welcome to it. But other than that, Echoes of Nor came out. It's both paperback and hardbound. That's the 5th book in the sci-fi series, and some people's favorites. So you can grab that one.
I love the Blood Witch, but I'm all for the sci-fi stuff. So
yeah, well, that's the one that got me hired. Well, no, the Blood Witch got me with the other two publishing companies. Those of you who don't know, I was traditionally, then I went out on my own because of difficulties due to, if you guys are in our circles and you know how influential certain people who want to put their stamp of wokeism on everything are. It happened in a couple of cases, and another one was just difficulties with the publishing company being able to stay aloft. But either way, I'm self-published now, and I'm enjoying it. So there you go.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah. Ladies and gentlemen, the Mad Doctor of Valhalla Adega Outlaw. We will be back tomorrow for the weekend review with the Lady Arwen Avalon and the Rooster Day Bob. Should be an absolute blast. We got a link to Adega's book right there in the chat. If you want a good book, this is the guy to get it from. All independent. He does all his own stuff.
These are not comics. These are novels.
Yeah, these are novels. These are books. So you're going to get a book. You're going to get a hardback book, and it's going to be good.
You know what? I'm showing off. Might as well.
Might as well.
I don't like being on camera. You guys know that, but move my crystal skull away. This is the one that started it. This is the sci-fi stuff, what you're going to get. And then these are the Amazon versions. And every single one of them, there's going to be a little bit of, let me find it, of unique. Some of it's fan art, some of it, different things. Each book will have that. This is the good version of the Blood Witch. It has maps, has everything in it. Like I said, they're novels. There's artwork in there. That one actually has stuff from Vinny. He does Vinny art. He's a comic book artist, and he has some work in there. The very first, this is 600 years before that. And you notice on each book, the symbol changes on the binding. When you put them all together on the shelf, it will form a picture. This is 600 years before the Blood Witch. Andros, which was on my YouTube channel, is now off. That will be coming out hopefully before the end of the year. Here's two other books in the sci-fi series. Each one has different artwork, some ship designs, different things. So yeah, that's my stuff, and I have fun doing it, and it makes money, but I don't use any of it. It goes into account that my kids use when they get desperate, not just for the heck of it. So anyway, that's it for me.
Adega's kicking butt, taking names, guys. There's the link. Click it. Check out the books. I've read them. They're absolutely wonderful. Especially, man, I will never forget how Evolution felt like we're gonna light the tires and kick the fires and just go. And it does. It goes from 0 to 90 and doesn't stop. So
thank you, Ikimura, a ton. Seriously, it means a lot.
So guys, we're getting out of here.
Yep.
Take care. Be excellent to each other. Always speak friend enter. We'll see you on the next 7 Kinds of Mischief with the Mad Doctor Adega Outlaw. Have a great night, everybody.
See ya.
These videos are tremendous. Like, comment, and subscribe, and hammer that notification bell.